Back in the days, I used to be quite swift to anger. Not because I was an angry person or anything. It was just I was quite emotional and I used to wear my heart on my sleeves. So I was an easy target for people to poke and provoke, and I would get really angry and they would laugh about it. So it took me a while to realize it was intentional and these people derived some sort of pleasure from my pain. Don't ask me why, people are wired differently. So anyway, I had an epiphany and I started to work on that part of myself, right? So it became easier. It became a lot easier to look away from things even when it upsets me. I tend to just overlook a lot of things and walk away from it. However, lately it's like everything around me has been designed to actually provoke and upset me. So something happens now, I look away from it. 5 minutes later another thing happens, 10 minutes later another thing happens. And quite recently, to be honest, I actually lost it. I literally lost it, but luckily I was able to restrain myself and I just told the person off and walked away from there. So I walked away and I got home. I laid on the floor. That's quite therapeutic for me. So I laid on the floor, and whilst I was laying there, a word came to me. And the word that came to me was at the appointed time. Now, I was wondering what that meant because I didn't understand it at all. And as I was pondering on that word, the story that came to my mind was the story of Anna in the Bible. Now, I have read that story over and over again, so I couldn't really find the correlation, right? So I went back to read it again, and this time I took my time. And whilst reading it, it occurred to me that my focus wasn't so much Anna, but her co-wife Penina. Let's do a quick recap, right? So Anna was a Hebrew woman married to a man called Elkanah, and she was barren. And Elkanah had another wife, Penina. Now, Penina had 10 sons, right? And year in, year out, day in, day out, Penina would provoke Anna. She would mock her. She would laugh at her for being barren, right? So let me explain this properly. Now, as human beings, we're all going to experience something called an appointed time. Reason being, we all have needs. We all have desires. We have things we're yearning and praying for, right? It may be finances. It may be to have a life partner. It may be a job. It may be children. Whatever it is, there's a set time, an appointed time for us to receive our desired expectation, right? Especially if you're a person of faith. And I use the word faith because so many people, when they've prayed and their prayers are not being answered, then they think to themselves, oh, this prayer thing does not work, this God thing does not work, and they set out to seek other solutions, to seek different solutions, and they force that situation to happen. But if you have faith, you will receive your desired expectation at the right time because God is never late, right? However, when that time is getting close, the enemy may put an obstacle in your way to block it, right? A Penina set to rise up and manifest in your life at an appointed time to block your blessings. Let me give you a quick example. True story. So there was a man. He went to college with a friend of his. So whilst in college, one day in college, they decided they wanted to have fun. So they went out. They got really drunk and then picked up some girls, went back to their apartment, spent the night with the girls. By morning, the girls went their merry way and they laughed about it and they forgot about it. They were young, they were being stupid. Now, fast forward to about 10 years or more later, this man meets a wonderful woman that he wanted to spend his life with. He got engaged to her, and one day he drives to her workplace to pick her up to surprise her at work, and she walked out with her colleague to introduce the colleague to her husband to be. Now the colleague happens to be the same friend that the man went to college with, so they greeted each other, they exchanged pleasantries, and everybody went their way. The next day, the friend called the fiancé and said, is that who you want to marry? No, you can't marry him. See, he's not going to cheat on you with just any girl. He picks up random girls. He picks up random girls at bars and everything, and he sleeps with them. Anything can happen to you, might give you a disease or whatever it is. It's too dangerous. I'm looking out for you. I've known him a very long time. That's what he does. Now, the fiancé called off the wedding. Eventually, The man got to find out why and what happens. Now, he had a choice. He could go to the fiance's office to confront the friend, and then who knows, things can escalate and get out of hand, and he will end up in jail and lose everything. Or he could stay calm, stay prayerful, and find every way to win back his fiancée. That friend was planted in his life years before to manifest at an appointed time to block his marriage. So what are we to do as people that have desires, that have wants, that have things we're praying and yearning about? We do exactly what Anna did. If you look at the story of Anna, she never reacted negatively. Let me break it down, right? Now, Anna was the favored wife, so it's safe to say that she was probably the first wife. And when she was barren, the husband took in another wife, right? Now, year after year, this other wife, Penina, she gave birth to sons, right? And Anna was barren. Now, year after year, Penina kept mocking Anna, kept making fun of her, kept provoking her, and they went to Shiloh. Now, at any point in time, she could have thought to herself, you know what, I'm tired. God is not working for me. God is not answering my prayers. She could have been angry with God, but she didn't. She didn't react negatively. Now, when her appointed time came, as usual, they went to Shiloh, and as usual, Penina provoked her that she wasn't able to eat. Now, her husband, that was in his trying to comfort her, became quite insensitive. He said to her, why are you so sad? Am I not more than 10 sons to you? Now, he was trying to comfort her, but that was a slap in the face, because for Hebrew women, it was sort of like a blemish. It was a blemish for them not to procreate, you know. So for him to compare himself to her bearing children was a bit of a slap in the face. But she didn't react. She kept quiet, and eventually she went to pray and pour her heart out to God. And as she was praying and pouring her heart out to God, the priest Eli came out and accused her of being drunk. At that point, she would have really lost it, right? But she didn't. She didn't react negatively. She responded to Eli respectfully and explained herself to him. And there and then, he prayed for her and she received her blessing. A year later, she bore a son. Reacting to situations negatively when waiting on a desired expectation can hinder us from receiving our blessings. Secondly, Anna had faith. Do you know what it must have taken to watch not just her co-wife, but other women that got married after her bear children while she couldn't? And think about it, they would have mocked her as well, you know. But at no point did she lose faith. At no point did she stop praying. At no point did she get angry with God. At no point did she say, oh, this prayer thing, this God thing does not work, I'm going to seek other solutions. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're all human. Sometimes we may feel anger, even with God. But you see, the way I get over that, because like I said, we all go through it, is a thought comes to my mind and I think to myself, whether I get angry with God or not, whether I deny God or not, whether I walk away from God or not, God will still be God. And that sobers me right up. Thirdly, Anna knew God. Let me give you an example. Think about your parents, right? You know your parents, and not a lot of people from outside can come and tell you about your parents because you know them and you know what they can do and what they will not do. Now, imagine your father, for instance, promises to give you something and he's always been true to his word. No matter how long it takes, you know that he's going to give it to you. That was like Anna. Anna knew God. And it's important for us to know and understand the God we serve. You know, that he doesn't only give. Sometimes he takes. Sometimes he's silent. Sometimes we ask for one thing and he gives us something else. But if you know that ultimately everything is designed to work together for our own good, it's a lot easier to trust in God's timing and his plans for our lives. And lastly, Anna gave back. Anna was an exceptional woman, an exceptionally loving woman, a woman truly made in God's image. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. For Anna so loved God that she gave back her only begotten son. Do you know what it takes for a mother not to watch her child grow up, especially a child she had prayed for? It takes a lot. But after she gave her son Samuel to the service of God, she bore 5 more sons for her husband Elkanah. And Samuel, he went on to become a kingmaker and a great servant of God. Now, as people with wants, desires, and things we're yearning and praying about, let the story of Anna be your guide. Namaste.